going to continue the series of the great rabbis of yesterday, friends, is the 19th of Cheshvan. Naturally, we call that in Hebrew Yutet Cheshvan. Marks the Hilula of a really great Tunisian rabbi, a rabbi we've spoken about on many occasions on this series. His name was Rabbi Sassi, Matuk, HaCohen, Yonathan. Zecher Tzik Ibracha, one of the great rabbis from Jerba, especially during the 1800s. In of itself, especially. He was born in English year 1832 and passed away, to be precise, Yutet Cheshvan happens to be the Hilula here in English year 1905, was approximately 73 years of age at the time of passing, as well as being one of the great rabbis of Jerba, which had a great Torah community at the time in Tunisia. He was the head of the Jewish quarter there, as we call it in Hebrew, the Av Bet Din, the Cha'ara Kebera, as you can say also, and was also a famous Rosh Yeshiva, the head of Yeshiva institution, Torah institution in of itself. Now let's explore some of the highlights within regards to the great rabbi's life. So he was born, as we stated before, in the English year 1832. He came from a very, very great heritage in of itself, from a line of great people in Jerba, in the island of Jerba, actually happened to be. His father's name was Rav David, and obviously they were from the famous family of the Mishpachat Kohen, Yonathan. I think they had connections also with the country of Algeria. So he learned under great rabbinic auspices. Amongst the rabbis he learned among was Rabbi Khalifa Idan, another rabbi we've spoken about on various different occasions. He would actually spend a tkufa of time and go to the area of Tunis afterwards and learn Gemara, and within regards to Hiyun HaTunisiyai, within following the Tunisian, let's just say, minhagim in of itself, or the derech in of itself, and learned under auspices of Rabbi Yitzchak Tzadika, another great rabbi from Tunisia, and he was famous Kabbalist and a judge also, which we have mentioned about before. And Rab Menachem Mezuz, who we're going to speak about maybe later on inside this great shiur. And then he would learn in the yeshiva of the Dayan, the Jewish judge, in of his name, the famous Rabbi Yitzchak Hori. Now, we've spoken about the Rabbi Hori dynasty in of itself. Rabbi Yitzchak Hori happened to also be a Dayan at the time in Jerba. And I think he was a rabbi of the city of Zoya in Libya at a later stage. He was also Shnikra Aliyat Rabbi Yitzchak Hori. He was actually... he was known to be an Eloi. This great rabbi was in himself, and I think actually got married to the daughter of Rabbi Yitzchak, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what's interesting is Rabbi Yonathan. Once again, he was very, very into teaching, using the approach of the Rabbanim from the Tunisian community, especially in the derech of learning. There was a real Tunisian pride in of itself, and must more with regards to the great Tunisia. As he became a great Dayan, he I think there was various different great Dayanim also in the vicinity of Jerba in of itself, which we're going to brush on at the end of the shiur. He was, I think, he was very close to Rabbi Tzion Kohen Yonathan, also a member of his family, who we spoke about also on various different occasions before, which we have to point out. I think he actually appointed his brother's son, Rabbi Tzion Kohen Yonathan. He happened to be the author of the Shari Tzion, to be a judge after he would leave that specific position in of itself. Now, he passed away, I believe, on November the 3rd in the English year 1905, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there was a supplication that was actually written by Rabbi Moshe Kalfon Kohen on his, as part of his obituary in of itself, which I have to point out also was reported over. Now, he was one of the great rabbis in Tunisia, especially during that period of time. You can also say his father-in-law, Rabbi Yitzchak Hori, I think he had a brother-in-law, Rabbi Menachem Mezuz, and who was also a prominent judge inside that area. So, position of time, also other rabbis that had prominent positions include Rabbi Nisim Bitan and Rabbi Yosef Rabbi, who we're going to speak about inside a minute. I think in the English year, just to add on, in 1901, there was a passing of Rabbi Rachamim Haddad, who at that point in time happened to be the rabbi of Jerba. So Rabbi Sassi became the rabbi of the greater quarter in Jerba in of itself, and that was the position he held till he passed away in the English year 1905. So that would have been approximately about 4 or 5 year window in of itself. He had ties also with the king of Tunisia on behalf of the Ottomans. It was reported over having this chief rabbi role in of itself in Jerba. He had, let's just say, a lot of, let's say, responsibility within regards to the various different areas and specific places in of itself. Similar role to him at his point in time. He also appointed position in of itself. I think one of his students, Rabbi Yaakov HaCohen Gadisha, was appointed as his successor as a rabbi after he left his position, after he passed away. So it's actually interesting. We can say a lot more within regards to this great rabbi, and we will get some more facts within regards to him. Now let's explore some of the great students that Chacham Sassi HaCohen had in of itself. He had the rabbis, let's just say, of the highest caliber he had, which is very interesting. Community, especially the Talmidim HaMuvwakim, as they call it, included Rabbi Yosef Rabbi. He happened to be the Rosh Yeshiva and the judge and the head of the Jewish court in the Jewish quarter in Jerba. Another one of his students was Rabbi Moshe Zaken Mazuz, who we spoke about before, also Ab Bet Din, head of the Jewish court in Jerba, and really was very, very respected. Rabbi Yaakov HaKohen Gadisha, who we just spoke about, was the head of the Jewish court, also in the, let's say, the Jewish quarter in Jerba. Rabbi David HaKohen Gisha was a Rosh Yeshiva over there, Bacharat Sagira, as they say, in Jerba, and he was the author of the Shirei David. Now, in the Tkuva, the second period, let's just say, in of itself, included, I believe, his brother or brother-in-law, Rabbi Tzion Kohen Yonathan. I think that was his brother, who would become a judge and head of the Jewish court of the Jewish quarter in Jerba. Rabbi Kalfon Moshe Kohen will come there. Also, Ab Bet Din, in of itself, head of Jewish court in Jerba in the Jewish quarter. Rabbi David, or we can nickname Dido HaKohen, I think was a Rosh Yeshiva in the Beit Knesset HaKohenim Gaon. He had that prominent position. And Rabbi Yaakov Chadat, who we spoke about at the beginning, was one of the famous Kabbalists in Jerba and was author of various different books. Now let's explore among his descendants. I think his son was Rabbi Kamos. Remember, Rabbi Kamos was a very common name, I think, in Tunisia and especially in the Libya areas himself. He was a great Talmud Chacham, his son was, and had huge roles within regards to various different books. Now his daughter was Rabbanit Zalo, if I'm not mistaken. Very interesting enough. She was also a very great woman, which we have to point out. She was a very, very great woman, and we can say that I think she actually became famous also inside Jerba, and let's just say that I think some of the sons studied in the various different yeshivot over there in Tunisia in of itself. I would definitely recommend everyone to research more within regards to the rest of his descendants, because he really left very, very great descendants. And many of the Tunisian rabbis and the descendants in of itself came to Israel and made a huge, huge difference in regards to the Torah community in Israel in of itself. So I would recommend everyone to research more on the great family of the Kohen, Yonathan family in of itself. We did cover around 3 videos of great rabbis from this great family from Tunisia. And he lived about 73 years. And please don't forget to light candles in his memory. Yutet Cheshvan is the date of his Hilula. He was a rabbi of the Jewish quarter in Jerba. And please, friends, everyone, if you're tuning in now, subscribe to the channel. We've covered nearly 500 great Oriental rabbis in this series. We're a community over here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear, especially the old Oriental Rabbanim, the great rabbis of yesteryear. We've covered around probably about 60 videos already of great Tunisian Rabbanim. Remember, Tunisia was, like, let's say, a bastion, beacon of Jewish and Torah life, especially during the 1800s. I recommend everyone to learn more within regard to that. Please, anyone, if you're related to any of these great rabbis who are relating over some of the highlights within regards, so please send me an email. Send me more information